castle. Okay, I'm gonna see it. Okay.
Yeah, you should probably look at it because this was actually started when I was about 4.5 metro stops away to get here. Metro is the subway, by the way.
Hi, JJ. Amazing to have you here in the house.
It's amazing to see you again, actually. How long were you in Peru? How long did you disappear from Moscow, period?
How long was it?
Yeah.
I think like 4 months.
4 months. 4 months. And you know, the worst thing is that you left me and Moscow while living close to me. Then you came back after 4 months and you decided to move an entire country away almost.
I'm relevant. Irrelevant. Irrelevant.
Irrelevant. It is relevant though because Moscow's huge.
The reason we're here today, it's I'm so happy that we can talk about Moscow and Russian culture in a time that I think matters the most. You know, the whole world is looking at Moscow, it's looking at Russians, they're judging them, and I want us foreigners to pitch in, say what we think, hopefully give another perspective to the people listening, the people who've never been in Moscow, who've never been in Russia, who they just hear stuff on the news and they probably got like some, stereotypes in their mind and stuff. So I'm hoping we can bring a little bit of clarity into the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I would just love to get right to it,
Well, I can tell you right now that the stereotypes and everything about Russia have stemmed way before what's going on today. I mean,
Right.
when I first moved here, even my mother and father were saying, "Oh, you need to be careful in Russia." Friends were saying, "Be careful, there's bears in Russia." Okay, in Russia, yeah, maybe. But in Moscow, no, there's no bears drinking vodka, playing the balalaika in the streets of
You
Russia.
haven't seen any bears, is that what you're saying?
Exactly. I haven't seen one bear.
Is that because you don't step out of Moscow and you're just like,
No, not at all. I've actually been to a lot of cities throughout all of Russia, including all of the Golden Ring, Vladivostok, a lot of places in Russia, and I have
you're a connoisseur?
one wild bear drinking vodka, trying to kill foreigners.
Only Malloy, the only bear.
He is. No, he's not a bear. He's a bear killer.
All right, yeah. So let's discuss when you got here to Russia the first time. What was it that shocked you about the culture? What was the first thing that you as an American said like, oh crap, that's different?
So there's a couple things that I liked immediately, and then a couple things that shocked me. The first thing that I loved is the fact that in Russia, it seems that everybody tries to take care of everybody. In the older generation, at least, and maybe not the newer generation. But the thing that shocked me a lot is when I first moved here, now they don't have these anymore, but they had small things called, well, maybe not in Moscow, they don't have, maybe in smaller places in Russia. But in Moscow, when I first moved here, they had these things called marshutkas. They were small buses that they would pack full of people, and you would spend 35 rubles to drive on these. It's like a very compact bus, and you would drive from your house to the metro station because a lot of the newer places didn't have metros, and these were like survive or die. During the winter, these people would drive as fast as they could because it was like time is money. So you would have a small little bus that would be for maybe 10, 15 people, but they would cram 25, 30 people inside, and they would be paying 35 rubles. And these guys would drive like Mario Andretti, going around the turns. Doesn't matter, snow, rain, shine, doesn't matter. And you were there.
So those buses don't exist anymore?
I believe that, well, in Moscow, I don't see any of the small marshutkas anymore. Now we have electric buses and metro. But before, it was small, freaking crazy drivers. I think that outside of Moscow, there might be.
I can't imagine how small those buses were.
Yeah, they were really, they were like a minivan.
In Peru, we have combis. Maybe it's similar to that.
Yeah.
Really, we're the small ones.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest culture shock you got?
No, I mean, it can't be the biggest culture shock, but I think, honestly, I feel like I adapted immediately to Russia. I think that it has to do with my upbringing.
Yeah, I think we should touch on your views as a Democrat.
The Democrat, no. No, not Democrat. Not a Democrat. I know my gender. I know there's only two.
I think you adapted really quickly because of that, right?
I don't know if it has to do with.
I mean, it's a similar line of thinking, maybe.
Yeah, it could be. It could be a similar line of thinking, but I think it's more of maybe not Republican or Democrat. I don't think it can be separated that way.
Conservative.
Yeah, I think it's more of a conservative. I don't think that we need to name it like a split of a political view. It's more of if you go to church, if you're involved in your family, community, and stuff like that. That's how I was raised, and that's why I fit directly into Russia is because, I mean, I have a son. I would never allow my son to go in Chicago, or go in the
Chicago.
in subways of Chicago, subways of New York, but in Moscow I would. It was very nerve-wracking for me when I first came because I didn't understand how is this big city compared to New York or Chicago or all these other big cities.
Are you talking because of crime or
Crime, like people stealing children, these types of things. But here it seems like the community is more involved in protecting children. And grandmas will kick any kid's ass here because it's a thing. They seem to have been developed to protect all youth. And when I first moved here, I hired a babysitter to bring my son from my house to school, which is only like 300-400 meters. But then after realizing it, my son, he goes through the metro, and yes, he has been stupid, cutting up with friends, making jokes, and there's been a grandmother or grandfather that have said, "Hey, knock that off," and they listen. So I think that's actually the biggest culture shock is seeing the difference between the safety in the United States and the safety here.
right? Yeah, it's a big shock for me also that Moscow is so safe. I think people don't think about that when they just picture Russia. I think they think there's crime everywhere and mafia. But if we had to talk about the differences between Western culture and Russian culture, I think one of the things you touched on there was that there's an emphasis on culture and traditions, on conserving all that here that maybe we have lost in Western culture. Maybe there's an aspiration for the new and the liberal ideas that we don't find so much here in comparison.
So the conservative ideas of Russia, I believe, are through and through. Like the women here have independence, the children have independence. Every woman can make their own choices. They have their own ways. They can vote. They can do all the things that a normal woman in the United States or in Western culture can do. However, the biggest difference is that I feel that women in Western civilization, I mean, it's a very touchy subject, of course, but I feel that media has led women astray with like feminism and everything like this. Yes. Because I mean, look at like Candace Owens. There's lots of women that are obviously valuable women, smart women, women that can do anything that a man can do. But feminism is making things not equal. They're fighting for equality, but they don't want equality.
Right. Yeah, I think the media it's many times puts ideas on their head and maybe they're just fighting for something they don't know exactly what it is, maybe they don't want it. And it's all about the media and what they hear and following others. And I think that's one of the values that people forget if they're in Western culture, just the value of pursuing old traditions and pursuing old purpose, right? Like having a family can be a purpose for a woman, and that's fine. And I think we're demonizing that now in the West.
Yes, I think that what I think is that people in the West have relied too much on media. I think that women and men and children rely too much on what is said in commercials, on media, and everything like that, instead of understanding what they want. I think that it's if the media says, "Oh, you're a woman, you get a pay gap," I think this is absolutely nonsense because they just say you have a pay gap, And then this woman instantly thinks that there is a pay gap now, but there's not, because you start to understand that, okay, men may be working longer, more hours, harder jobs, or a woman works the same job, has the same pay, but works less hours. And what they're recording is only the ultimate. They're not recording the actual aspects of each individual thing. For example, it's the total, a year versus a woman and a man. They don't include the hours.
Right.
They don't include the overtime and stuff like this. So the woman hears one thing from the media and she instantly thinks it's true.
And what do you think about the Russian men? I think this is a interesting topic I haven't thought about before. How do they differ from the Western
So
average male?
I think there's definitely ways that Russian men can be better. Definitely. Russian men expect a lot of old traditions for their wives. They expect, I work, you clean, I do this, you do that. And like they,
Is that the more conservative man, you think, or in general?
no, I think that's in general. I think that's in general. But at the same time, there's always differences in every man. But there's a lot of men that well, worldwide, it doesn't matter. Actually, this question, it doesn't really matter what culture it is. Worldwide, there's good men and there's bad men. There's men that don't respect their wife and they say, you need to cook, clean, and do everything that I want while I work. And then there's men that say, I'll work and you clean, but I will help. So I don't think that there's a big difference in Western men and Russian men.
Yeah,
Deeply.
I don't know. Personally, a lot of girls told me just they're tired of dating Russian men and that they're so rude or what else did they?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that the men are more demanding of the women because there's not a media outlet that explains to the women something, and then the women believe everything that the media outlet says without actually researching everything. Like I said before, if the media says that women have a pay gap, the women instantly believe it without doing research. Where here, women hear this from a man and then they just say, okay, I don't want to be with this. I don't want to be with this anymore. They're rude, all these types of things. So,
Yeah. What about flowers? Why are flowers so important in Russia?
well, flowers are very important in Russia. And it's not even just with women. It's with different holidays. It's a sign of respect. Just like in the Western areas, we always bring flowers to the graves.
Right.
We do these types of things, and I feel that I really appreciate Russia in this because of the fact that in the Western civilization, it feels like we lost this. It feels like we've forgotten our past. And one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen about Russia is Victory Day. At Victory Day, there are people that are still alive from the terrible wars and that come to Victory Park and sit, and thousands of people come just to give flowers to these people that have given
Their lives.
their lives and have given the right for all of us, everybody that is here in Russia, whether they're foreign or not, the right to live basically here.
Right. That's something we don't see a lot, right? In Western cultures.
No, we don't.
Remembering our
I
heroes.
mean, how many people that are watching right now know about the wall of all the names throughout all the wars, or the graveyards of all the war heroes? How many people go there? How many people have seen it? Nobody.
Yeah. Makes me think, people just tend to forget about these things.
They forget about
And they worry about meaningless things.
yeah, and the funny thing is it seems that Western civilization is trying to cover up the history, and not like cover it up, forget about it, forget
Or
about history.
dissect it and just start picking on it,
Yeah.
like
Destroy it, rip down
I heard
statues. all these
in
things.
the UK they were tearing down statues from what was the minister of the UK, the super famous Churchill.
Yeah,
They were tearing down
Winston Churchill.
statues because he was apparently racist back in the day, and people now were just mad about it and they were thinking he's not a model to be followed or role model.
Okay, the thing is there statues all around the world that you might not want to be a role model for. Like you don't want them to be your role model, but it's still your history.
And it's still thinking about their time versus our time, right? Now we have so much privilege compared to before.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
This is yeah. The worst part is that we right now the world and everywhere in the world is just erasing history. And the problem with that is when you start tearing these statues down or taking it out of textbooks, it allows the way to repeat the mistake because you don't see it.
right.
And that's how you repeat a mistake is if you don't see it and if you don't learn from it.
I think I agree with that. Okay, let's get to some foreigner stuff. So, what is the importance of learning to speak Russian in Russia, you know? As somebody who doesn't know any Russian, I think just a couple of words here and there, I can tell you that you can get by without Russian. It's not ideal, I think.
You can get by without Russian?
I can get by without Russian. But if you want to meet people,
Not even a Russian word, one word you can get by.
okay, if you don't know one word, you're fucked, right?
So basically, you need to know the basic ways to make a purchase, to go somewhere, these types of things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many words.
You do, because I watched you do it. You got your dry cleaning or
Yeah, you can just smile and say like,
please, please.
Moshna. Yes. So it is important to know a couple words.
100%. It's absolutely well. The thing is like if you look,
Can we still agree that language English is the language of the world?
English is the language of business.
Of business,
Yes.
not Chinese, not replaced anytime soon, like people are saying, you know, like in 10 years we'll all be speaking Mandarin and shit.
No. 10 years, everybody's going to speak Mandarin. Come on. I mean, if you look at America and if you look at Brazil, if you look at anywhere in the world, do you think that all these people are going to study Mandarin?
I don't know. I mean, they studied English for some reason though.
Okay, if you look at so if you change so the alphabet in Brazil and in America are the same.
Yeah, it's hell.
But if you look like in Chinese and Mandarin, it's completely different. If you add a little small little tail on one of those things, it means a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So yes, I don't think at all in any shape, way, or form that Chinese or any other language is going to be the language of business. It's going to be English.
So if for some reason someone is planning to come to Moscow for vacations or just to see things around, they should learn a couple of words in Russian.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I think that anybody that's traveling to any country should learn a couple words. However, most countries, aside from the United States, knows more than one language. Okay, United States, yeah, we know a lot of Spanish.
Right.
Well, not everyone. Some
Right.
people know
Right,
Spanish.
sir?
Some people know Spanish. However, like it's absolutely crazy. If you were to land
If
here,
you're born in Florida, you pretty much know Spanish.
yeah, or if you're born in Texas, you know Spanish.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, in the lower parts of Texas that are connected right to Mexico, yeah, you know El Paso, you know some Spanish. But the crazy thing is, if you were to just teleport from I don't know Ohio, United States, and you landed here in Moscow, you could still get by without knowing anything because the people in Russia, well, in Moscow, not in like rural cities will know, but in Moscow, people will understand enough to point you in the right direction. Which is very sad because if a person that from Russia came to the United States and didn't know anything and was just teleported to Ohio, no one would know anything.
So recently, I saw that they started taking off every English sign or sound from the metro and every other part. You know, like before, if you went in the metro, you would hear like the stations in English. Now you just hear them in Russian.
I think that has to do a lot with the World Cup that we just recently had a couple years back.
Oh, was there no English before that?
Yeah, before then there was no English on any of the signs.
Really? Was it all Russian?
Yeah, yeah, and then they actually put the English on the signs. Okay, there was English in the airports, but in like metro and stuff, there wasn't any English. There was no English announcements or anything like that. And now they removed the English announcements, but there's still English on signs. If you look below the heavy.
I'm just thinking they should do that like way before the World Cup, right? If they were trying to make Russia a tourist country or whatever.
Yeah. But everything went perfectly for World Cup, which was pretty amazing. There was thousands and thousands of people here from all different cultures. So
Okay, so let's talk about one of our favorite topics, social life. As a foreigner,
social life as a foreigner, our favorite topic. I think that's your favorite topic.
yeah, how is it? How is it to be a foreigner in the social sphere and just make friends and talk to people? Do they care more about you, or what do you feel about that?
For me, I mean, I've been all over Russia. I've been to Belarus as well. But yeah, oh, so it's kind of like mellowed out. But when I first moved here,
Yeah, it's becoming less and less, I feel like.
when I first moved here a while ago, I was a superstar. Just so everybody wanted to talk to you about everything, your language, your culture, your government, where you lived in the US, what you did for a living. Everybody wanted to do this. You could walk into the bar and just be with a bunch of friends. And if someone heard you speaking English, you immediately got a bunch of additional friends. And that, I mean, okay, a lot of people speak English here, but when they understand that you're a native speaker, everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody wants to talk to you, and they want to ask you 100 questions. So it was, and the worst part is I also want to ask questions, but they only want my answers. They don't want to give answers so much. So.
Oh, I think that's amazing for you, JJ.
Amazing for me. It's also for you. Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like people love what they don't really know, or just Latin America seems so strange for them, for most of them, so far away. So they get interested in that just because they see my skin, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, it's not about skin color only. They also have brown
come
people
on.
here.
Most people-
They have brown people here. Relax.
Okay, let's count the times that we've seen either a black person or brown in Moscow. I mean, they're probably so.
So now there are. I see a lot of black people.
There's a bunch of Indians lately, right? But black people, that's
Well, I've seen more and more from Nigeria and stuff like this. But when I first moved here, there was none.
yeah, and that's an interesting thing also because they tend to work in these low end jobs. Like the black people, they just most I've seen, they're just dressing up as this commercial guys, pointing you towards
Signs, handing out flyers and stuff like this. And I don't think that's and don't like I hope that nobody understands that this is like a painted picture of racism in Russia. No, it's just the fact that when people come into the country, if they don't have higher education, they don't have valued jobs, they come here seeking something and they have to start at the bottom.
Is that like a Mexico USA situation, but in the starting stages?
I wouldn't really say it's like Mexico and US situation because there are a lot of Mexicans that do a lot of high-end jobs as well.
Yeah, nowadays, not before.
Yeah, before yeah, of course. And it's also the same thing. There's a lot of illegal immigration, a lot here
Russia.
here in Russia. And,
Immigration is crazy in Russia. Like,
yeah. Well, yes. If you want to be a legal citizen in Russia, it's going to take you 2 years, and you're going to have to go to this small place about 2.5 hours away from Moscow called Sakharova. And it sucks. You have to have a million different documents, a million different translations.
and I just don't get why people want to come to Moscow only. I mean, it seems like most immigrants, they have no money. They just want to come to Moscow.
Well,
I mean, Russia's so big.
so if you compare Russia to the United States is very dense. All the major cities are 2 hours by an airplane.
And their opportunities here is very centralized, right?
Yeah, and mainly it's the fact that like if you look like a flight from New York to Florida, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. But if you look for a flight from like a major city like St. Petersburg to Moscow, it's 1 hour. But if you look like Moscow to the other end of Russia, 9.5, 10 hours. But if you fly from New York to LA, 5.5, 6 hours. So the fact that the United States can be fit inside of Russia 3 times, 3 United States can fit inside of Russia. That's why it's so spread out. That's why people are only going to the major cities like St. Petersburg, Moscow, and Vladivostok, because they're all the major like hubs of this country.
I didn't know about Vladivostok.
Vladivostok's right next to China. It's 30 minutes by boat.
Fuck.
So it's like I was there. I was there before I actually moved here, and it looks like San Francisco, honestly.
Jesus.
And then you just jump on a boat and you're in China.
I don't think it looks like San Francisco.
It definitely does.
I mean, is it a hub of business and shit?
It doesn't. It doesn't have all the hills, and it's not a hub of gays. So yes, it's not like San Francisco. I guess I have to agree with you.
Okay, so I think that works perfectly with our next topic, like work and business for foreigners. What do you see around? Like, is it easy to get by and to find a job as a
So-
foreigner?
If you're a foreigner and you come to Russia, if you take out a teaching of your language, if you get like a
Even if it's like African, bro, or
okay, maybe not African, but
I mean, you're speaking from an American English perspective that everybody wants to learn English.
well, there are people that want to speak French, Spanish, and English. Those are the biggest ones. So if you're somebody that speaks any of those three languages and you just drop into Russia, you'll be able to find something on Headhunter. You'll be able to find something on the doors that are posted next to your house. You'll be able to find these jobs easy. But as like working normal, like higher paid jobs, I mean, English teachers get paid pretty good. I mean, they get paid.
Yeah, I don't see many foreigners that have been brought here just for work, like
Well, post these times there was a lot for engineering, for IT, like my job. That's how I came here. It was my
Yeah.
job, like coming here, doing IT, doing customer service, customer support, because the Russians wanted to understand how the Western world and the rest of the world do customer service,
yeah.
because it was more of a straight to the point type of thing. And in customer service, you need to know your
And I feel like that's a story also in paintball, like Russians want to understand how others play, how the Americans play. And in business also Russians want to do business with Europe, so they need to understand their how they behave with people and all that. So I feel like that's an ongoing story because Russians being such a conservative bubble, I feel like sometimes that they have a hard time adjusting to the
yeah.
outside.
It's for sure, because the conservative bubble, like it's much more difficult for them to adjust. But at the same time, I think that they try to learn how to deal with customers so that they can keep going with their conservative bubble, but also do.
That's interesting, right? They don't want to break the bubble.
They don't, and I respect that. I absolutely respect that, because I mean, if you look at it, and the thing is if you are not here, if you don't see it yourself, you're not going to understand. But if you look at it from the point of view of being inside, and you see these conservative values, you see the fact that they believe in God, you see the fact that they have beautiful cathedrals, churches, and all these things all over their cities, everywhere, and you see how the people interact with people, you'll understand what value is. You'll understand what how people should treat other people.
Right. And what the value of history is also
Exactly.
something that we
And just so you know, America did not win World War II.
who won.
Russia started the wins. So you know.
I mean, that's
Don't read your textbook.
I think that's written in history, right? The Russians went in first.
When I was growing up, in my textbook, it never said anything about Russia.
Really?
Nothing. It said
So the separation
United States
of
went to
Romania and
Normandy,
stuff.
and Normandy was won by the United States. World War II was won by the United States. And if you ask 90% of the Western civilization in the United States, at least, I don't know about Canada.
They don't even mention
They don't
Russia.
even They don't even know. They don't even know. If you
Who
say,
killed Hitler? Well, nobody killed Hitler.
he killed
Hitler
himself,
Yeah.
or he moved to like your area, like South America.
Aye, but who captured? Yeah, the Berlin
Berlin.
It was the Russians first, right? They got there first,
Everybody besides America got there first.
right?
Normandy was only involved with America way later in the war.
Right.
And that's just because Japan was being jerks. They got it.
All right. So daily life. How much does it cost to live in Moscow as a foreigner? And I feel like this answer may have changed a little bit in the
Yeah, it
past 2
has.
years.
It has definitely changed the last few years since Ukraine's been a butthole. But yeah, I'm gonna say that. I don't agree with Ukraine at all. I don't agree with Joe Biden. He's a piece of shit.
You love Trump.
I do love Trump,
Yo,
but
Trump said he was getting arrested, and he did.
yeah, he definitely did not get arrested because if they arrested Trump, that means the whole Constitution
So why
is shit.
why did he write this tweet? Was was it a way
Because they
to
were gonna
diffuse
try
the
to do it.
arrest?
They were gonna try to do it, and then he just said, "Hey guys, check this out."
I know that.
And everyone's like,
Trying to
"Oh
arrest
wow,
me, so now I'm gonna say
yeah, oh wow, you're gonna try to break the Constitution?" Trump DeSantis, 2024.
So he prevented his own arrest, you think, by posting that?
I don't think that he prevented it. I think that he made the prevent. I think the thing is, he couldn't prevent it if it was or it wasn't. But what he did was the fact that they could not arrest him.
On that
They can't. They can't arrest. No, they can't arrest him because the whole law and everything about the times, the dates, all this stuff was so far and so old. They couldn't legally arrest him. They were trying to make some loopholes and make it some federal offense when it wasn't a federal offense. Even if he did decide to pay Stormy Daniels to shut her mouth, it doesn't matter. It's his
Yeah,
money.
it was because of the hooker, right?
It was only because of one column in his statement that it was mixed up, and that's as at most a misdemeanor.
Now we're hearing from a Trump fan right here, so
No. You can look it up. Look it up. You can check out Ben Shapiro. You can check out so many people online.
I wouldn't take those words too hard, but yeah.
Trump DeSantis 2024.
So yeah, how much does it cost? I don't know, like
Well, before I can tell you this, like renting an apartment, if you were to rent an apartment in the United States, like let's just say in
1 bedroom apartment,
well, let's go with where I lived in the United States, Utah, like smack in the middle
like
of the United States.
Salt Lake.
City. Let's go Salt Lake City.
Oh man, that's expensive also, I believe.
I mean, it can be. So for a 3 bedroom, you're paying like $1,700.
3 bedroom.
3 bedroom,
Let's say
$1,700.
one
I'm only saying this because I'm trying to understand like doing the difference between 3 bedroom there and 3 bedroom here because this is things that I have rented out.
Okay.
So $1,700 there, 3 bedroom here, $700.
$700?
Yeah. Unless you have an idiot friend that decides that he wants to
You're
live
getting
closer to the center because he's got to go like out every night or
you're getting way better prices than I am, man.
of course I am because I'm smart, you're dumb.
3 bedroom apartment, $700.
Yeah, because I don't need to live in the
Is that still what you think? Like nowadays, that would be the
No,
cost?
no, I don't think I don't know.
Oh, yeah, okay,
I think
so
it's probably
let's bring it
like
back to today then.
I think if today in Russia, if you in Moscow, if you wanted to rent a 3 bedroom, you're looking at $900 to $1,300, depending on location.
Oh, that's a big gap there.
Well, it depends on location. If you're north, south, if you're closer to the center, depends.
Okay.
What is the average you're paying about your cool place that's so close, only 15 minutes from the center by metro?
Yeah, I would say Moscow is similar to
Did you guys realize that he didn't say the price?
Spain in the way that apartments at least work. So you will be looking at $1,000 at least for a 1 bedroom or a
I have to
2 bedroom.
charge $1,000 a week in fucking Barcelona.
Yeah, it's fair to say that nowadays like the exchange rate has changed a lot, has
Better for dollar.
better for the dollar. So what I was paying before like $1,000, now it's like 900 or 850.
Mhm.
And that is if you manage to get like a perfect exchange rate, which is also hard, because most of the time you'll be looking at fees and other stuff that will make that price
It
go
depends
up.
on if you have a bank here or not.
A bank,
Yeah, I have a bank.
you still have to get the money from the outside to the bank. Well, unless you're working here, but yeah, if you're working here, you're not getting paid in dollars, right? So
Well, you can always just do different things to get the money here.
how, like what?
Like just bring it when you go out.
Yeah, if you're getting paid in a fucking box in some other country and you bring it in your luggage, sure. But for most people, I think that
Just so you guys know, $10,000 at a time.
they'll be looking at transferring it to the Western Union that doesn't work here anymore, I believe.
Western Union does not work here. PayPal does not.
Nothing works here.
Nothing works here.
So that sucks.
But the Russians are looking at this like sanctions. Come on, give me more. Give me more. They don't care.
yeah, that's
They
like,
do not care about the sanctions.
don't ask the Russians about the 30% of people who have left Moscow at least.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are running away, but they're running away because they believe Western media.
I had a conversation with a friend. I used to work here, and he said like all of those guys are traitors, and that was like a really like steep, like blade, like traitor.
There's people that say this about me as well in the United States. They call me a traitor because I moved to Russia.
All the way back then.
And still now.
Okay, but those are wounds from the Cold War or whatever. But
Well, no, still now. Just recently I was.
I mean, recently it's more understandable, I would say, that
Yeah, a traitor, but why am I a traitor? Why am I a traitor? Because I moved to a country that I like. I moved to a country that I like the culture. Like,
yeah,
am I a traitor? I still love my flag. I still love my country.
yeah, and I think yeah, and I think that most people who judge us now, for just coming to visit or
Are stupid.
are missing that point,
Absolutely.
But okay, if we're touching on this, maybe we should touch on the government and
Oof.
and
Oh, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
I feel like if I disagree with one part of Russia, it would be the way it's run and the government.
Tell me why.
I mean,
Or tell us why.
let's start off with an autocracy, right? Autocracy, is that the word?
Okay, let's go.
Autocracy that's been going for 20 years.
Okay, let's go.
I mean, that can't be good in any way. I feel like psychologically, even for the president, that messes you up, Having so much power for so long, it can't be healthy. You just lose sight of your things, of your values. And I just
Damn, that could be true. I mean, let's look at Biden.
I mean
Let's compare it to Biden. Like, why not?
No,
Let's compare it to
it's
Biden.
not a fair comparison, bro.
I mean, it is. It really is.
It's not.
You have all this power from Putin has all this power, right? Power, 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 power.
No, power for so long.
Power for so long.
Right.
Okay, now let's compare. How many years has Putin been in any type of politics?
Was it like more than 30 years by now?
It could be, but how long has Joe Biden been in? 49 years.
But that doesn't mean having the power of president or the power of the whole cabinet.
Okay. So let's put him in 8 years of vice president of the United States and now 4 years of the United States president. And what has happened? What has happened? We're at war.
Can we agree? Okay. We'll go in a wormhole here.
You have opened the can of worms. It's already out. It's already out. You said, let's talk about politics.
Can we agree that we support democracy, I think.
Yes.
We both do.
Yes.
And I feel like there's no democracy in Russia. Or you believe there is? Because democracy goes with freedom of speech, right? The ability to say what you think and influence other people also by saying what you think.
Okay.
And I think that's pretty limited
with that.
in Russia.
Yeah. So now let's look at democracy in the level of mutation. Mutation, for example. So democracy is freedom of speech.
Where it can go overboard and just...
Yes.
Yeah, that's what happened with feminism, for instance.
Feminism.
Okay.
LGBTQT minus
I
plus.
agree with all that too.
So I believe that Russia was on, no. I believe that Russia was on the right track of not allowing gay propaganda. And before, when I first moved here, they didn't allow fucking heterosexual propaganda. There was no fucking this shit, titties, or anything like that. So my point of view is ultimate conservative. Like I don't think that there should be PDA. There is no reason at all that if you're going through the metro, the bus stop, the airlines, anywhere in the United States or in Russia, that you need to be fucking smacking your woman's ass, kissing her deeply, a peck on the cheek, peck on the lips, or whatever. It's fine. But like all this PDA, public display of affection, like it's out. You don't need it because reasons. Children don't need to know this. They don't need to understand that.
Okay. I agree with that. So go back to the main topic, democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Is it here or not?
I think that democracy is threatened here. I think that it's on the verge of being threatened. Like it's threatened. It's on the verge of being collapsed. I think that the people need to understand what the difference is between democracy and like the Reich, basically. I don't. There's not like there's not a control if you say like, okay, if you say bad shit about the president, if you say bad shit about, if you're doing propaganda, if you're like doing a ultimate gay shit and holding the gay flags and stuff, yeah, you will be arrested for sure, for sure. But the point of it is they don't really allow the right to protest. That right there, that's why I feel like it's on the verge, because there should be a right to protest, but the right to protest doesn't mean that you can just protest wherever you want.
Right.
You need to get licenses, permits, all these type of stuff, and go through the government to do this. But what I feel is that like the anti-propaganda, like these things, I think that is not that right there is taking away the democracy. Yes, they can be not for it, but they still need to allow the right to protest, the right to protest, the right to freedom of speech, and all of these things, but at a certain level. At a certain level. For example, there should be a right for freedom of speech for gay people in the United States, but we don't need a fucking parade. There doesn't need to be a parade. There doesn't need to be these things. And when a person is gay, or whatever you want to be, or whatever, if you're that way, then you're that way at home. Like and the thing is if people start thinking of this way, then they don't need to have the protest, because there's no rights that a gay man doesn't have that a straight man has.
Yeah.
Except for maybe marriage.
And I think there we're getting to values that gay people have, like showing affection. And maybe this is because of being just repressed for so long that they want to show their affection in public, But yeah, I mean,
But again, I'm saying like PDA period,
that's
heterosexual or not.
But that benefits the heterosexuals because they don't need it, but maybe the gay people need it. And yeah, I'm not gonna get into that.
I need $1 billion, but I don't fucking get it every day, right? Like there shouldn't be PDA at all.
I mean, yeah, because that benefits the heteros, right? I mean, at least they're way.
How does it benefit the heteros?
Because they're okay with that. But gay people.
Why are gay people not? Why though? If you love somebody, you love somebody. Why do you need to show it?
I think they being repressed, maybe, and this is my hetero point of view, is made them just look for these public displays and.
But what like?
They're looking for acceptance, and I think
acceptance for what?
From the other people, from the population.
So basically, they don't really love the other person because they need acceptance from everybody else.
Again, let's focus on Russian culture, on Russian government.
Okay, well, this is Russian culture. Heterosexual people don't need acceptance from everybody else. Why do gay people need acceptance because of somebody they love? You can be gay at home. I can be heterosexual at home.
Right, but if we go back to the government, I feel like that's the deal breaker for me. Why I wouldn't want to have family here, why I wouldn't want to just stay here for a long period of time is because I'm not sure where the government's headed. I'm not sure that the people have the power to ultimately express themselves and really say what they think without the fear of just being arrested or punished or beaten to.
Well, I have a family here. I have 2 kids here, and I don't agree.
And you're planning to leave also.
Yeah, but I'm not leaving.
That's a small.
But I'm not leaving because of that. That's not why I'm leaving.
Right.
I'm not leaving because of that. But at the same time, if you go to the United States right now and you say that if you mispronounce somebody's pronouns, you go to jail.
Right. I'm not saying that democracy is not.
Democracy is more threatened in the United States than it is in Russia right now.
I don't think so. I think 100%. They're both in a verge. They're both at risk. We took democracy to its extreme, and we allowed that to happen in the West, and then in Russia, it's like the other extreme. People
in the United States right now, you have no freedom of speech. They block you on Facebook. They block you everywhere.
But at least you can say it, right? I mean,
you can't say it without repercussions.
No, you get blocked. That's not going to jail.
You can also get sued by some fucking douchebag that comes into a coffee shop and says something to you, and you say, "Sorry, sir," and then he says, "I'm a ma'am." I'm not a man, I'm a woman, and then you can get sued because you called him the wrong fucking
That's not right.
exactly. It's not right.
No,
That's why I'm
that's
saying-
not right. Like, there's no laws for that yet. I mean,
There's people suing.
Canada.
So
Okay, there is people suing, but there's no laws that defend people for
you
this.
sure about that?
Yes, in the U.S., yes. Canada tried to pass a bill like that like 3 years ago. It didn't work.
So why is it that a person that didn't want to make a
I
cake
think-
for gay
Is
couple
that where
gets
we're
sued?
is that where we're headed? Maybe, but I'm saying not what it is right now. Are we in problems? Are we in a hot spot? Sure.
So do you feel that the United States is in less problems than Russia is?
Population wise and society wise, is that what we're talking about? Yeah. No, I feel they're both like
Okay, now let's look at the population of Russia and the population of the United States. 300 million in the United States, only like 170 million in Russia. So now if you were going off of statistics, who is threatened more?
right.
And you can look those up on Google because I did.
At the same time, many people in Russia don't have the opportunity just to worry about those things because they don't have fucking food.
But now my question is this, is opportunity
I mean,
the biggest thing? Is that the best thing?
the economics of Russia, is that what you're saying?
Like opportunity. Is it responsible for a country to give too much opportunity? Too much opportunity that people take advantage, find loopholes, and manipulate in order to get their best.
I mean, the US have been popular because of the American dream, right?
The American dream.
The opportunity to make something of yourself.
Yes. Yes. That is the saying of the United States, to the opportunity to make something of yourself, freedom. Right?
Freedom.
So now my question is though, is there a way to disrespect freedom?
What we're doing now, I think, right?
That's exactly what's going on in the United States. You're taking
When you
everything
go
for granted.
overboard, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I think we agree on that. That there's an overkill there.
So in my point of view, Russia is having this like hard dam blocking the water of taking advantage. They're not allowing people to take advantage of their own freedoms. And I know that sounds really messed up. It sounds terrible. It sounds absolutely terrible. But the thing is people, once they get too much freedom and too much of something good. I mean, okay, let's look at chocolate. Just chocolate. When you take one square of a chocolate, what do? You want more.
Want more.
You want more. You want more. You want more. Let's talk about women. When you find the most hot woman, the most beautiful woman that can ever be, what do? You want more. You want more. You want more, and you marry her, right? So it's the same with freedom. Like if you get this taste of freedom, and then you take advantage. It's like taking advantage of a friend that's good enough to like give you some money, help you out in a bad situation, and then you turn around and say, "Yeah, I need more. Yeah, I need more. Yeah, I need more." So it's taking advantage, and I feel that Russia isn't allowing people to take advantage.
So you feel like it's right in the sweet spot, that's where it should be?
I mean, I don't know about the sweet spot.
They're not trying to fucking take advantage, but they're not.
I think that there could be. I think that in Russia there could be the spot could be maybe moved a little bit more, but there needs to be a line, because if you do not draw a line in the sand, then everybody will keep going past it. For example, 10, 15 years ago, we said there's not going to be gay marriage. And we're like, all right, let's give them gay marriage. And then what do? They're like, all right, let's change our gender. And then what do? In California, they say, we can have sex with minors. And then what do? Now they're having sex with dogs, cats, whatever they want. And then what do? They say, oh, I'm a cat, I'm a dog. I say that I'm whatever. So I think that could be something. And that sounds awful, because it sounds like you're trying to take freedom away from people. But what you're really trying to do is make sure that people take freedom and they're responsible with it, just like drinking. You don't drink an alcoholic beverage and then get in a car and drive. You don't take freedom and then take advantage of it. That's all.
I agree. There needs to be a sweet spot to be in between freedom and just traditional
Chaos.
and chaos, freedom and
Freedom
chaos.
and chaos, anarchy and freedom.
I don't think that's it. I mean, there's freedom, and then there's slaves or people who can't be heard, people who
There's
don't,
freedom and chaos, freedom and anarchy,
which I, yeah.
and freedom doesn't mean slave.
If we had to predict where will Russia be in the next 10 years, I think it's a,
2024,
I think it's an
Trump
impossible,
DeSantis.
it's an impossible prediction in some way, you know? We don't know how the government will change, if it will ever change. We'll have,
Well, it has to change eventually. That Putin's not going to live forever.
but is Putin the only one?
No, no, he's not the only one. I'm sure that they have people in line
Ready,
like them.
you know?
Yeah, just like any country.
But the population that left, that's what got me thinking about really. I mean, have their values shifted to Western values and or are they in the sweet spot maybe that we're thinking about and they just got tired of not being able to.
I don't think the values have changed, but I think the media has changed in Russia. More people are involved in TikTok, and the funny thing is everybody's watching TikTok everywhere around the world.
TikTok in Russia is only Russian though.
No,
Yes, you can't see anybody else.
there's so many. It's called a VPN. You can get a VPN and watch whatever you want to watch.
Can't. It doesn't work.
I do it all the time.
Okay.
Watching TikTok and anywhere. But the funny thing is, everywhere around the world sees one TikTok. China sees a different TikTok.
Right.
All constructive,
What I'm saying.
doing things, and then everybody else sees a bunch of nonsense, like girls doing this, OnlyFans, all this kind of stuff. Take my link, watch me show my butthole for fucking $15.99 a month.
I think you're talking about OnlyFans, but okay.
Well, a lot of people do OnlyFans. They promote their OnlyFans through TikTok. But in China, you can't promote your OnlyFans in TikTok.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to say. Is like there's a big difference. So I think that yes, the younger people in Russia are watching more social media. They're watching other things. They're learning their values from the computers and the gadgets rather than from home. And I know this because I do the same thing. I see all this stuff. I use my phone for work. I use my phone for play. I use my phone for everything. And I see all of this stuff. And media, social media, if it's not used wisely, then it's going to be corrupted and they're going to mess up our youth.
I agree with that. Totally. Okay, before summarizing, let's just go back to cost of living. How much does it cost to live in Moscow for a day for a foreigner?
For a date?
Yeah, for a day. Let's say if you have to eat like 3 times, you know, get your breakfast, lunch, and your dinner. How much would it be?
I mean, how are we doing it? Are we going to the shop? Are we going to Magnolia? Are we going to Peter Krostik? Where are we going?
Let's say you're doing both.
So you could go to like a local grocery store, let's say Peter Krostik, and you can Peter Krostik's like a grocery store.
What would you spend for lunch there? Like 600 rubles, maybe
600.
600?
So he lives on the high side of life. He's just like, I'm gonna just buy all this nonsense. I can go to Peter Krostik for 2 weeks and spend 14,000 rubles.
So that's 6,000 rubles per.
600.
Are you taking into account that you're a family of 4 people?
So yeah, family of 4. We're talking about taking like meats, like cutlets.
We're talking more of a touristy vibe, you know, like
Touristy vibe. Touristy vibe. You can go to the same things that we always go to, McDonald's. It's just a different name here. It's the same stuff, but it's a different name.
So how much would it be?
500 rubles per meal.
So completely one day it would be like
If you do 3 meals at Vkusna Tochka, it's like 1,500 rubles,
$30.
$30 a day.
30 bucks.
That's if you go to McDonald's the whole time. Now, if you want to go to like uptown, like upscale restaurants, a little bit more, you're looking at probably like 1,700 to 2,000 per person.
All right, JJ. So summarizing, let's bring it back.
Bring it back.
Bring it back.
God, we got so off topic. Joe Biden's a piece of shit.
The culture. I think, from my perspective, the culture can be.
You should be careful what you say.
The culture can be either amazing for some people, you know. It really depends on who you are as a person, I think. Either if you will have a culture shock or if you love Russian culture, it really depends on who you are, what are your values. And and all that. I think we should not have like a perspective that Russian is antiquated and that they value all these traditions for no reason, but we should instead see Russia as a place of history, as a place of acknowledging your past and all of that, and that'll bring you a new perspective when you come here. And I think there's value in that for a lot of people who just don't know Russia and who just hear all of these stereotypes.
I think that if a person's just traveling here for tourism, I don't think that they're going to get deep enough into the culture to realize that. I think they'll come, they'll like, I think that the most culture shock they'll get from just traveling here is the language. That's it. Because if you just come here for vacation or something like that, if you want to look at like the architecture and stuff like that, I don't think they're going to get deep enough into being.
What about people who are just thinking about Russia now because of the whole global situation and they're just blaming it all on the Russian population because,
Well, they can actually think of it this way. Ukraine is like the little brother of Russia, pretty much, because I don't know if all you know, but Russia's been in history what since 470 BC or something like that. It's been Russia. Like so, basically, it's big brother is smacking around little brother, and they're having an argument, and now they're calling in the uncle's cousin's nephew of United States. Like that's what it is. Like.
I can see so many Europeans offended by what you said. Like smacking, is that what you call killing people?
Killing people? Okay, it's war. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And Europe, you know. So shut up.
Exactly. Yeah, I think not drawing any conclusions from what we hear in the media. It's really important
Yes, absolutely
because we
important.
don't know the whole story.
You never do.
We don't know what's been the U.S. intervention in the whole story. Also, I think it goes past many years. Right?
Yes.
I think it goes past many years, and I think that Ukraine's response to Russian attacks or invasions, they're all being influenced by the West in maybe an unhealthy way, and that's what many people don't really tend to realize when we're evaluating what's happening. And yeah, in social life, I think it's pretty good if you're here as a foreigner.
100%.
Yeah, just come
100%. We're about to go for a walk. 100%. Awesome. Good times.
work in business, having a job here. You say that if it's teaching languages, it shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, if you teach a language, you're gonna come and get a job instantly. It's easy,
Like that.
like that. But like high value jobs like IT, engineering, these stuff, you'll get a job easy as well. But if you're just like a Joe Schmo, I work at a grocery store, not gonna get a job.
Yeah, don't come here.
Yeah, don't.
You'll be working.
Don't go anywhere. Just stay home. Just go work at the local like Walgreens.
Get out of there first. Right. Right. The cost of living. So that's another big one. I think anybody who has a
We should ask you, like you need to answer this question, the cost of living. Myself, we do all of our stuff. This guy's the one doing Airbnbs. He's doing like changing flats or apartments,
apartments.
just doing all this stuff. So he's the one that answers that question. Because me, we just
Cost of living, you're fine as long as you have an income that's, let's say, acceptable. A minimum wage in the West, let's say most of the West, will get you by in Moscow.
when he says acceptable, I'm just gonna whisper. When he says acceptable, that means that you could pay for your flat and go and party every night long, every night, all night long till 6 a.m. You'll be fine if you just come here and you just want to go like walk around and do these things. You'll be okay.
All right, let's wrap it up. So, what are your final thoughts and tips when it comes to foreigners and Moscow? And
Final
Russia?
thoughts and tips when you come here. Just be respectful. Just like understand that they're conservative. Just understand that church, God, and values of family mean the most. And never, ever, ever, ever say faggot
A fag.
because they'll beat you up. If you like, it's like mama jokes. Fag jokes, no bueno.
Yeah.
He understood that. Bueno. No bueno.
Yeah, I think
You're not. Are you gonna be able to air this? I said faggot, and I just did no bueno. Like,
explicit.
yeah, you're gonna have to like dub it for sure.
Explicit. Yeah, I think everything you've heard in movies or in the media about Russia may be an extreme, but at the same time, it's true. You got to keep your mind open. You
Except for in Triple X.
what?
In the movie Triple X, it's definitely not true. There's not Russians running around with nuclear weapons everywhere.
What is true are the women.
The women are the best women on the planet. Second best, Brazil.
That's what's true about it.
Best of the best.
But yeah, guys, just keep your eyes open and keep your mind open, and you'll be fine. Maybe you love it so much that you want to stay, like we did, right?
Come to Russia, visit us. We'll be here.
Cheers, AJ. And goodbye to everybody. We'll see you soon.
До свидания.